Cool. Hey, how's it going? So I want to show you a bit of my writing, and I'm not showing you this to brag and go like, "Wow, how awesome is he? How great is he? What a killer writer he is." Practically, it's like if Ernest Hemingway and William Shakespeare were cloned in a secret facility and birthed. No. I want to show you this because I actually think it's kind of bad writing, but it's potentially why it's bad is interesting. So this is my current project, and now I have to find it. Oh, here it is, right there. That's good. So you don't need to know what my story is about, but I'm going to tell you anyways. It's about an orc who becomes a professional wrestler, and currently, right now, she is in the middle of a forest because most fantasy stories at the heart are about a group of friends going out camping, and they've crossed a pass with a small caravan. Now, in story, this is a fairly big deal. We're about to be introduced to another one of the main characters. Uh, Now, how do I present it? If you can see right here, it says, on the journey to find the Red River, Horatio and Luna cross paths with a small caravan. And that's it. The note I wrote myself is that reads like a bullet point. And it reads like a bullet point because it essentially is a bullet point that has somehow snuck its way into the main draft the same way a bullet will be shot at a person, and if the person survives, often they'll leave the bullet in because it's less risky to pull it out. Now, I'm aware, before you write any comments, that medically lately this has actually been disputed, and that's actually a pretty controversial method, but we're just going to go with my metaphor here, and it maybe even works better because it's kind of poisoning the draft. Now, it's not bad writing in that it is overtly awful, or it might be. I might be giving myself a little bit too much credit in that it's not the worst writing ever, but it's bad writing because it's boring, it's uninteresting. It is essentially a bullet point where I describe an event I would like to happen in the story, but it's part of the story. And sometimes you can't escape having those lines in your book, but you should try to. I fundamentally believe a good novel can really place you mentally and physically in the area, in the headspace of the character. And for such an important event as meeting the other main character, it's nothing. It's that line is nothing. It feels nothing. It has nothing to it. It just is a bland connecting piece that does nothing. And it is important, I think. It is good to think of economy and scale in writing, and you don't want to spend a lot of time using a lot of filler and verbose adverbs to tell a story when you could tell it more simple. But also, people don't eat just bones. Like, people like meat. Dogs eat bones. Humans like the meat. So I don't. I got no ideas for how to fix it. I got no practical ways that I want to fix it. I know it's an issue that needs to be addressed and reworked. But I often feel that because this is hard to explain, but good writing often makes you forget that you're reading a book and you just kind of like you're living the story, which any good piece of art, I think, will kind of cut you away from who you are as a person, the life you're living, and into whatever story they want. And you kind of for a minute forget about who you are and your stuff and your problems, and am allowed to live in whatever world the piece of art is telling. That's what you should always be striving for, although it is not possible to achieve that at times, because sometimes you just need to do the blatant exposition and it's fine. You can't all. I don't want this to boil down to that really like piece of advice: show don't tell, because it's not necessarily about that. It's you should. The question is why you should use this line when you could add something that deepens your story instead of making it more shallow. And I have said a bunch of pretentious nonsense that I don't know how to purpose, but that's my general feeling about that one line. It's not good. It's a very classic first draft line. See, first drafts, what I'm starting to realize, aren't that far removed from outlines. They're essentially outline plus, in that they're not just a series of bullet points, they're a series of more detailed bullet points, but they're not really the story. Like, you haven't written the story yet. You have written a more in-depth outline where you outline more particularities. And I guess each draft is just beefing up the outline more and more until it turns into a book. Be on the lookout for stuff like that. Be on the lookout for bullet points that have slipped their way into your prose. Because it's important that you actually write the story you want, not just describe a story that you want to write, if that makes sense.